Welcome to my podcast. This is a podcast where I'll be teaching you all the systems and strategies you need in creating your visibility so you can turn your passion for coaching into a profitable business. I'm your host, Michelle Quay. I am a visibility coach, content and email marketing strategist, international speaker, and author, as well as the founder of Elevate Life Coaching. Let's just say that I know a few things about overcoming seemingly impossible obstacles in life and in business. I'm on a mission to be the champion that helps you to get to the top of your mountain, one courageous step at a time. Welcome to the show. Good morning. If you are new to me, I'm Michelle Quay. I am a visibility coach, content and email marketing strategist, international speaker, author, and also the founder of Elevate Life Coaching. And you are watching the Live Coffee Talk Show. This is a show where I bring on amazing and inspirational guests to talk about their story, their journey on how they start growing their business in coaching. And today I am super, extremely excited and very honored to have Terry Yoffe to come and join me. Terry is a woman with both experience and knowledge. Terry has an extensive experiences in coaching for the last 19 years. I mean, when I look at my experience in coaching, I would say I'm a newborn baby compared to what Terry has. Terry has been a business coach, executive coach, and career coach, and she has been coaching, like I said, for 19 years. As an executive and business coach, Terry helps her clients maximize their talents and achieve full potential. She employs the two-step process, having the client clarifying their goals, and then develop a focused strategic plan. Terry believes that the relationship that she built with her clients allows them to become the most courageous soul and human being after working with her. They also are able to cut through a lot of the story that they tell for themselves and to themselves so that they can ultimately step out of their comfort zone and meet all the challenges. And that to me is just very empowering, very amazing, because as a coach, that's what I strive for when I first became a coach. But little did I know that I had to do some marketing. So here we are, half coach and half marketing, or should I say marketing coach. But thank you so much for watching this show. And without further ado, let's bring out Terry, because this is a woman you would love to meet. Hi, Terry.
Thank you, Michelle, for that amazing introduction. Boy, do I have a lot to live up to in this podcast.
Well, you do have a lot of experience, and I had to cut it short because, I don't want to take up a whole lot of time introducing you.
That's true.
So I wish I can pack all 19 years into just one little segment.
Yeah.
So tell us about how you got started.
Oh, my Lord. Talk about out of your comfort zone, leap of faith. I was in the business world for many years, and I left the business world I was in advertising sales, and I left that to become my own hired gun, so to speak, right? I was a hired gun, a rep for many magazines that were looking for somebody to help them with their advertising. Mm-hmm. And I did that for a long time and was really successful because I built it on reputation, right, that I had developed over the years. Well, when that landscape changed, I had no idea what I was going to do. Absolutely none. And in all transparency, I spent many years in therapy and thought, okay, I'm going to go back to school. I'll become a therapist. But that really didn't work out. And I started looking at what could I do that could align with that philosophy. And I stumbled upon coaching. And why I said I spent a lot of years in therapy was I loved working on the human mind. But everyone's human mind is exactly the same. There's no difference. It's a piece of machinery that runs us most of the time. So I stumbled upon coaching, and here I was, someone that kind of had reached a high level in my business career. I literally had to start in the basement because I had to go back to school, had to go through coaching school, get a certificate, and then I was still working. And then I decided to go for my certification to become a certified coach. So it was a long road to building my way back up because nobody knew me as a coach. So building websites and finding clients was not an easy path. So talk about being out of a comfort zone. That surely was.
Yeah. How old were you when you decided this is a new direction that you want to go?
Older, let's put it that way. I was not a child at that point. I wasn't 20. So I had, as I said, I had a long career. So somewhere middle age, I shifted gears. And one of the things that I really stumbled into was joining the ICF, the International Coach Federation, the New York chapter board. And I went from being the secretary to eventually being the president.
So as your continuous building and also your experience accumulating as a coach, it's 19 years of wisdom and knowledge and experience under your belt. So I'm curious, as a new coach, I don't know what it was like, years before. What have you noticed is the biggest change in our coaching industry?
Oh my God. Well, way back then, a lot of people didn't know coaching. When you said coaching, they said, oh, basketball coach? Like I look like a basketball coach. Football coach? It was still new. So it took some explaining. And the field was not as crowded as it is now. So it was different, a different mindset than it is now, because everyone knows what a coach is. If you explain, I'm a life coach, I'm a business coach, I'm an executive coach, and it's much more recognized today. I think that was one of the major things.
Yeah. What did you wish that that you knew back then that you know now?
That it's a process and it takes time. I'm a very impatient person. So building a base, getting your name out there does take time. It's not one brush stroke and wow, I've arrived, right? I've had several websites. I belong to many organizations. After coming out of sales, that was an advantage because I knew how to be pushy. I knew how to go after what I wanted because that's what I did in sales. And that's what made me successful. I didn't give up.
Yeah.
So it was a process. And I think being part of the International Coach Federation was another avenue of getting out there, of meeting people, joining organizations, which I had already been involved with. And I just seemed to, wherever I was, I ran a mentoring program for an organization, and people found me there. People in my committee found me. So there was a flow of being places.
Mm-hmm. So I think we touched on the International Coach Federation a couple of times. For people who are not familiar with International Coach Federation, can you tell us a little more about that and what's the benefit of joining?
So when I found it, it's called the International Coach Federation. They were still young, right? And it's an organization that sets the standards for the coaching community. Actually, I just started podcasting this year, talk about out of your comfort zone and a leap of faith. And my first interview is with Magda Mook. She's the CEO of the International Coach Federation. So if you're interested, listen to it because you will gain a lot of insight. They're doing amazing, amazing things now to really promote coaching and how coaching really can help today's leaders. And then they get the word out, not about coaching, but about how they can change the landscape today.
Yeah. I think one of the things that very unique about International Coach Federation, at least for me, and I am a member, and I joined the LA chapter here. And one thing that I noticed is that I get a lot of information and resources. And I know recently we just had the Coaches Week, the coaching week, and there was like numerous conferences and seminars that really give the coaches the ability to like catch up on all the changes within the industry.
Right.
Because I'll be honest, a lot of time there's so many information that's floating around. I don't even know where to begin. Yes. And I love the fact that ICF streamlined that process and they give you really, specific webinar or seminar workshop to go to. And if you want to learn more about marketing, here's a seminar. If you want to learn more about your coaching industry changes, update, regulation. I know ICF have recently updated the regulation. You go to that seminar to keep yourself updated.
Right.
What are some of the ways that the coaches can do to stay relevant for their client?
Oh, staying relevant is about understanding what's going on today in the world, in the country, what's wanted and needed, really, what are clients facing. Not that they didn't face these before, but it's so much more prominent today with the chaos. And clients that, I've coached many clients on different levels. And today more than ever, it's about the challenges that clients are facing. So it's knowing what's going on so you can adjust your mindset to working with people. And when they come to you, you have some idea as to how to coach them. What are you coaching them around? Of course, you're not coaching them about the landscape. You're coaching them about themselves. Who do they have to be, right, to be relevant? They want to be relevant today. So how do they do it? We're hearing all about, since the pandemic, the great resignation, the re-engineering, the reimagining, the rethinking. Well, how are you going to help them with all of this? So it's, I think, being relevant. It's knowing what's the landscape is what's happening. And for me, I think it's always been about how much do I know myself, right? if I know every corner of my inner being, then I can coach around it. However, if there's a part of me that I haven't been willing to see or look at, you can better believe that when a client comes with that, and if you haven't addressed it, you will not be able to coach them around it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because you haven't looked at it yourself.
Yeah, that is very interesting because there's a saying that goes, when you're coaching someone, you're really getting them to see within themselves. It's like putting a mirror in front of them. So
That's
what
exactly
they see is not the other person. It's actually a reflection of who they are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And go ahead.
And being brave and being courageous and being willing to challenge your client by holding that mirror up as long as it takes for them to look in it and say, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what's interesting for me is that a lot of women coaches that I work with, when they came to me, they're struggling with how do I get the message out? And what you said about the great resignation, the bigger landscape of what's happening in this world, that could be a potential conversation starter. And I don't believe a lot of coaches realize that that's a point where you can actually introduce what is it that you do to a lot of your clients. Like great resignation, for example, that's a great starting point to really understand what's going on in the overall landscape of our corporation, companies, what's going on within that industry. So what are your take on that? Hey, you. Are you ready to unleash your story, but all you hear are just crickets on your social media? You are finding yourself stuck and not sure what to write about on your Instagram or on your social media platform. The idea of posting on social media about your coaching business is just so overwhelming that you find yourself getting caught up in questioning what type of content you should post, what should you share, and most importantly, what's actually worth sharing. What if I told you that there is a simple and easy to follow way of posting on social media that will spark the fire of your audience heart and generate more conversations? Grab a copy of my ultimate guide of what to post on social media with 100 social media post inspiration that gets the conversation going so you can grow your coaching business without feeling like you're stuck in the writer's block when you're not even a writer, and keep those crickets away. Head over to download.braveyourbrand.com and get an instant download by clicking on the download button now.
Again, I think so if you're looking for clients, I think this is what you're saying. How do you talk to them in a way that elicits a space for you to walk into and to hear what might be their challenges? I think that's what you're asking.
Yes.
And, without hard selling, give them a little feedback. Oh, this is so interesting. And a tidbit. You want to bait them a little bit so that they say, oh, okay, let me have a conversation with this person. As I said, I think and this is where being courageous and being brave comes up, that you've really got to be willing to be out there 150% with people.
Terry, what's your definition of bravery?
Anything that's uncomfortable. As I mentioned, I started a podcast this year, right? Mm-hmm. I had no idea the amount of work that it was going to take. However, it's being willing to step out. And for me, what value was I going to bring and it's about value. Somebody has to see a value in saying, I want to hire that person. But for me, it's about whatever happens, being willing. So, you say the wrong thing or you make the wrong gesture, being willing to expose yourself. It's all about being willing to be vulnerable. And I think if you can feel that way, as Brené Brown says, it's a strength, being vulnerable. That's what we have to show our clients, that it's okay to be vulnerable. People don't want to see just a mask of a boss. They want to see the entire person.
So true. We talked about your podcast a couple of times. What's the name of your podcast?
It's called Extraordinary Work, Conversations About Creating Change. And I started it in January. Took me a year to pull it together. And it's about speaking to people like yourself, people that have created change in their corner of the world. People that could have a big ripple effect, could have a small ripple effect. It's always been for me about how do we create change, whether it's a kind word, as the smallest gesture, befriending somebody that nobody wanted to be friends with, and creating change as coaches with your clients, because that's what we're about. Yeah. How do we do that? So that's very near and dear to my heart, the whole creating change. And for sure, this country needs a lot of change.
to say the least.
To say the least. And whom else but voices that are willing to stand up and say, wait a second, how do I create change? If you're not going to change the world, it's what you are comfortable and what you can do to create change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I truly believe if we want to see, there's a quote that goes, if you want to see the change, then be the change, right? So we start from within to be the change.
Be the change you want to be.
Yes. Be the change that you want to be. One of the words that really caught my attention was the word extraordinary. What is extraordinary to you?
Extraordinary work to me is somebody that has a kind word for somebody. It doesn't have to be magnanimous, right? It doesn't have to be, oh my God, I'm Mother Teresa. It can be one small ripple. But anyone that has done something to create change, for me, is extraordinary. And we all have the ability to do extraordinary work, whatever that means. Even if you have a client and you help them move from point A to point B, that's extraordinary. And people don't see that. They think, oh, well, I just did it. It's really taking ownership of who you are and being the best you can be. Whatever it is, whether you're a coach, whether you're a podcaster, whatever, whether you're the janitor.
Yeah. Why do you think that people have such a hard time in taking ownership and accepting that they are actually very extraordinary?
So as a coach, and you might agree, I think the one thread that goes across everybody is worthiness. Somehow, as young people, we got the impression we weren't worthy. Everybody. if you go down to the bare bones and look at everyone you coach, it comes down to that. We don't feel worthy. And I have to say, I have a pretty extensive website. And I go to that website. I have a TV show, I'm a podcaster, I do blogs, I've done a million things. And I look at it and I say, who is that person? I do. I say, can't be me. So I'm as guilty as anybody else. It's something about being magnanimous, about stepping into who we are. It almost sounds selfish. It sounds boasting, because that's what people take away. But if it's done in a way that isn't that, and being humble about, but in a good way, right? Just being a shrinking violet isn't what's wanted and needed today.
Yeah. How do we marry the two? I want to be the change, and I think coaches are. This is why we became a coach. You want to be that change, but then here I am. I'm sitting and I'm growing my business, and there's a lot of that negative self-talk. I don't know how to do the website. I don't know how to run this program. I don't know who I need to talk to. How do I marry the two of them so that I can remain focused and actually recognize that I am extraordinary?
So it's a lot of fancy footwork with your mind, right? Because it's that little voice that we give a lot of attention to, that actually rents space in our head. That's the voice that, well, you can't be doing that, and you shouldn't be doing that, because it's about protection. Oh, if you do that, you're going to get hurt. You're going to be made fun of. So, and as part of the DNA, there's nothing you can do. But what has to happen is you have to lower the volume on that voice and raise the volume on who you are and what you've done. And at some point, the shift takes place. That voice gets lowered. And the voice of, I can do this, I can do a podcast, doesn't work out, doesn't make me any less of a coach, doesn't make me any less of a person. Mm-hmm. So that's the tricky part of our figuring out how to put who we are in the forefront and put that other voice in the background.
Yeah. I love that analogy of turning up the volumes of the higher self and tune down the volume of the inner critic.
That's true.
Yeah, I love it. Was it like an overnight kind of thing for you, or was it really took a while?
It's still going on. It's a life. It's like anything. It's life lessons. We always are learning, and as I said, I look at my website and I say, who is that person? I can't believe that in 20 years, 19 years, I have done all of this and gotten different accreditations. Who's that person?
Yeah. One of my audience actually reached out, and then she was asking, if you can tell your younger self when you first started out, what would you want to say to her?
Good job.
Good job.
You've surprised myself and many other people. When you're an executive in business and then you go to the basement to start a new career at an older age, you have to give yourself credit just for showing up and reinventing yourself. It's all about, I love to reinvent myself. I love to be somebody different. My husband scanned, and this is very quick, pictures from years ago, And he said, my God, I've never seen you in the same outfit twice. So it's that. It's being courageous enough to keep changing how we think, how we move forward. When we do that, we automatically have a different mindset. So it's just keeping going.
Yeah. You're making me very teary because I can't imagine, because a lot of our, people think that success just come overnight. It's like, you open up a package and it's there. But people don't realize that you have to work from the basement and you have to start from ground zero, basically, coming up from up high there, going down to the basement. That's a big change. That's huge. And people don't see that. They all see, oh, you have this 19 years of experience. You've been on the ICF board. Of course, you have network, but you started at zero.
It's so not true, because I was successful. I have a lot of tools, right? Experience. I didn't lose them, but starting down in the basement, well, you can imagine my ego, the bruising that it took to start there and work my way back up. But it wasn't starting without the tools that I had accumulated over the years. I wasn't starting with a bag of nothing. So no matter what you have, being willing to take one step at a time. There's no such thing as failure. There's only feedback. Right?
Yes, I love that.
And honestly, I look back and I think, how did I do it? How did I have the energy and the wherewithal to start and build and, have my CPCC accreditation, my PCC accreditation, my several others. And I did it because I chose to.
I love the fact that you're making a choice, and I love the word choice.
That's exactly right. It's all about choice and consequences. What are you willing to choose at any given moment?
Yeah. I do want to respect your time, and I would love to wrap up. But before I let you go, do you have any last word of wisdoms that
I have a quote, if you should ask, that I brought. It's so perfect. And it's by Conrad Hilton, the hotelier. Success seems to be connected with action. Successful people keep moving. They make mistakes, but they don't quit. Making mistakes is part of the learning and feedback as you look to the future and not the past.
Such a beautiful quote to be successful. And success comes from years of experience and learning lessons that you pick up along the way. Very true. What does that quote mean to you, Terry?
Pardon?
What does that quote mean to you?
There are a lot of lessons to be learned. And just because something doesn't work out, it doesn't mean you're not successful. The fact that I showed up, the fact that I was willing to go through my CPCC, every day I was successful. I showed up. If it didn't work out one day, didn't mean I wasn't successful. So very quickly, as I tell my clients, we all have bankable nuggets. Go back to where you started. You have accrued all of these nuggets that you can pull forward and use along the way. So
you are just one amazing and beautiful and courageous and extraordinary woman that I have ever known.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And so are you. So are you.
I really look forward to our future connection and conversations.
It will be, for sure.
Yeah. Terry, tell us where to find you to work with you.
You can reach me at www.trycoaching.com, which is my website. You can find everything there, from my podcasts to finding out about me. And my email is terry@trycoaching.com. That's there as well.
Yes. I will have everything in the episode notes so that people who are looking for it, it'll be right there.
That would be wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Michelle. This has been so wonderful, so amazing. I am so happy we've connected.
Me too.
And thank you for listening, everyone.
And I just wanted to mention again, check out Terry's podcast. It's called Extraordinary Work, Conversation About Creating Change. I listened to a couple of episodes last night. It's amazing. It's great. Just go and check out her website. And her website is so easy to remember. Trycoaching.com.
My initials.
See? Came up with that. Trycoaching.com. So go check out Terry and her work. She's this extraordinary woman that you do not want to miss out. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Terry. I'm going to put you to the backstage so that I can wrap up the show. I'll see you in a bit.
You will.
All right, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed watching this episode. I would love for you to share your comment. What did you think about this show? Drop me a red heart if you liked it. And be sure to subscribe my podcast at the Michelle Quaid Podcast, which comes out an update every 2 weeks. And I will love to hear what your thoughts on this particular podcast and what you have taken away from this podcast. And I will see you next week. Bye, everyone. Hey, beautiful. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast and found values from this episode, I would love for you to leave me a rating and review. Now, as a token of my appreciation, after you have left your review, I want you to take a screenshot of it and send it to me via email at michelle@elevatelifecoaching.org, and I will buy your next cup of coffee. I promise. One thing that I was struggling with in my early years of business was finding the right people to connect with. It feels like you are on this entrepreneur journey on your own. Sometimes we all just need friends who can share our dreams and goals and who can relate to us what we're going through as we grow our business together. If you are a woman coach who is ready to grow your coaching business and you're looking for strategies to get seen, get heard, and get hired, I want to invite you to come and find me in our community on Facebook at the Visibility Confidence Lounge. This is a community of heart-centered women coaches who are looking to grow their coaching business by creating engaging, authentic, visible content with storytelling for their business to get more leads and attract more clients. I will see you at my next tea party. Bye now.